right, Money B.
What's happening?
Hey, not much, man. Just, grinding. Same.
Absolutely.
I know you're doing your thing. You got some things coming up. I thought, let you talk about your event, or I don't know if it's your event, but an event you got coming up for Shock G.
Yeah, on August 21st, the Bay Area will celebrate Shock G in the city of Oakland, where they're actually going to declare Shock G's birthday, August 25th, as Digital Underground Day in the city of Oakland. So we're really excited about that. But just the entire day, we're going to celebrate Shock. Shock really was into giving to people in need. So we're going to start the day off with a Feed the Unhoused. So we're gonna serve 2,000 meals to the unhoused in the city of Oakland. We're gonna do a motorcade through the city and play nothing but digital underground music through the entire city of Oakland. We'll end up at City Hall, where Oakland City Council will present and declare August 25th Digital Underground Day, which will be followed by performances by Digital Underground and special guests. And we're going to end the night off with a great party at historic New Parish in Oakland, hosted and DJed by DJ Fuse from Digital Underground, My Motion, and DJ Sharp. So it's going to be a historic day in the city of Oakland. If you're from the Bay Area, you definitely want to make it out August 21st and celebrate Shock G with Digital Underground.
Man, that sounds dope, man.
Absolutely.
That's really dope that he's getting. I mean, even though it's he's not getting his flowers when he was here, but that's pretty dope to have all that still done and everything, man.
Oh man, it's light. It's gonna carry.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into everything, and I know there's a lot been going on, but could you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where growing up in Oakland, and what it was like for you.
Well, my childhood probably wasn't normal or as normal, or who knows what normal is, right? So I had a unique experience growing up. My father was actually in the Black Panther Party, and I attended the Oakland Community School, which was founded by Huey P. Newton and run by the Black Panther Party. So I kind of grew up in that, which kind of gave me, I believe a perspective in life that kind of carried me into adulthood. And I say that to say, my sense of community has always been strong. And even when it comes to being in a group like Digital Underground, which is a large collective, I was raised to always be like, what's best for the group is really what's best. So I've always been a team player, one that's about the group over myself, because that's just how I was raised.
That's dope. That's similar to Tupac.
Absolutely.
His upbringing and everything he learned.
His mother was in the Black Panther Party, but she was a New York Panther. My father was a Panther out of Oakland, West Coast, East Coast. They actually knew each other, not while they were Panthers, but they met through me and Tupac, and they became really good friends. But me and Pac, we probably, or I should say, like, it was easy for me to understand where Pac was coming from, because our experiences were similar growing up.
Did that surprise you guys and everything when you guys met and started to get to know each other a little bit?
It didn't really surprise me, because I grew up around it. So when he told me, I was like, oh, okay, yep.
At what point did Digital Underground form and you guys all come together?
We got together in '89. I joined the group maybe a year after the first release. The first record was in 1988, Underwater Rhymes, Your Life's a Cartoon. And I joined the group in '89, right before we did Do What You Like, me and DJ Fuse. So we've been rocking ever since.
How many people were in Digital Underground?
Digital Underground was an army. So it was just like, it was a revolving door of just a bunch of talented people. So, before me, Chop Master J, Shock G, cats like Kenny K, then after me, me, DJ Fuse, Pee Wee, Big Money Otis, Mystic, Saphir, Clee, Tupac, Smoothie Smooth, Groove, Maverick, Essential. It's a lot of us.
You and Shock G turned out to be like the main ones, I would take it.
Well, we probably turned out to be the most recognized because consistently on each of our albums, we probably were on the singles or the most recognizable songs. But,
okay.
You know, it was way more than just me and Shock.
How'd you guys meet?
We kind of met. We met through DJ Fuse. Me and him were a group, and Chop Master J, who was already in Digital Underground. They had a mutual friend, and through that mutual friend, we kind of met and decided to all work together. That's kind of how it came along.
How long were you rapping before this happened?
Shit. I probably started really taking it serious when I was about 14. So by the time, you know, when I got in Digital Underground, I was like 19. So I've been rapping a few years before.
What did it seemed like it happened pretty fast for you. You got in this group and things started moving pretty fast.
It kind of did. From the time I joined, you know, I joined in like 88, 89. By 1990, we had a hit record. So probably, you know, it seemed natural. But remember, I had been grinding even before I got with Digital Underground. So me and Fuse, we were, you know, I've been out trying to make it happen. So I've been actively wanting to be in the music business probably since about 1986, 87. So that's still kind of fast, but from the time I joined Digital Underground, within a year or two, we was out there.
And what was the first hit? Was it Humpty Dance?
The first, depends on what you consider a hit. Like our first hit really was Do What You Like. It was a big hit in Europe. In the United States, our big hit was Humpty Dance, which came out in 1990.
You guys got these hits, and things are moving fast for you. At what point does Tupac come into the picture?
Tupac came along. Well, Tupac actually was signed to the same label we were signed to. He's just in another group. And then, you know, at whatever point their group dissolved, and, you know, H. Gregory, who was the manager of both of the groups, he was Tupac's manager and he was Digital Underground's manager, and we were all signed to TNT Records. And he just asked if we could kind of merge or let Tupac merge into our group until he could find him his own solo deal. And that's kind of how it worked. But even before that, we knew Pac. He had been around since I had been around, honestly.
Oh, okay. So Tupac was around. He knew everybody already, so it wasn't like a big get to know or process. It was, oh yeah, that's the homie.
Right.
What was Shock G like during those early years?
He's just creative, you know, and he had all these bright, great, innovative new ideas that some sound crazy and some sound crazier, you know, but we just believed in it and we trusted it and we just, you know, we went with it.
Was Shock G like the main one that was doing the creativity, like the song ideas?
For Digital Underground, he was the basis of most of the concepts. You know, we all had ideas and different samples or things that we wanted to try, and he was open to hear all of it. But yeah, for the most part, it was a lot of his original ideas.
And at one point, did he create Humpty Hump?
I think, you know, he probably had the idea, but the first time Humpty Hump was introduced to the world was in the Do What You Like video. And I don't even think he had a name at that time, but it was just this character that he wanted to introduce, and everybody loved it. At some point, you know, working on the album, it was suggested that, I don't know if it's suggested or he came up with the idea, like, let's give Humpty his own song. And the Humpty Dance came out of it. It's dope.
I mean, I was young at the time, but it don't seem like there was a lot of hip-hop guys playing characters at the time. It was kind of different.
It was a new idea, right?
Yeah.
That didn't exist, really. So
Yeah.
that's what had people tripping out, because they're like, wait a minute. And people didn't know if it was one person or two people, and we kind of helped play that out.
created some I don't want to say controversy. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but just kind of got people talking.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I remember I was a kid and I didn't quite know the difference. I didn't have access to the magazines, and I wasn't reading the magazines like I was when I got older. But
right.
I feel lucky that I grew up in the time where I got to see the '90s hip hop. Versus
you got to catch it.
Yeah, versus like some of the other eras. Okay, so now you guys are blowing up. Tupac is part of the group. Did you guys see Tupac as the star that he actually became from the beginning?
I don't know that we saw him as the star. We saw the potential of him becoming a star. Not to the degree that he became, obviously. You don't look at somebody and be like, they're gonna become a global icon, right? You just know that that person is dope, or he has the potential to be a star, right? And I think all of us kind of saw that at some point early in his career.
What was he like back then?
Wild. He just, he was wild, he was determined, he was focused, he just, and he had a drive, and he was just a person that was not going to be denied or told no to the things that he wanted. He wasn't going to accept no, I should say.
Okay, so Tupac is, he's this hungry dude. He's young. You guys see potential in him, and you guys put him on same song, and it does good. What was his reaction with everything that was going on?
I mean, when we put him on the song, he was excited. That was his first, real record. That was his first record that people, that the world got to hear him. So, his goal, just like all of ours, was to put out some music and actually make a record. And that was his first record. So obviously he was excited. He got to go back to his neighborhood and be like, I made it. He'd already been on tour with us, but then to actually be on a record with us, that was the beginning of everything for him. So he was excited, but but at the same time, he wasn't satisfied with just that.
Were you doing anything solo at the time, or were you trying to be a solo artist, or were you just all about the group?
Me and DJ Fuse, remember we were a group before we joined Digital, and so the whole thing was, Digital Underground was more like a big production company, a big production team, I should say. So we all had, even when Tupac was in the group, it was all with the purpose of getting him seen and then getting him a deal. Same with me and Fuse. Rock with me. This is Shock saying rock with me, and then I'll do everything I can, and him and Atron, to help us secure a deal for ourselves so we could do our own music.
You'd mentioned the tour. I think this is the tour that everybody believes Tupac was a backup dancer on.
Right.
Okay. Can you explain to everybody what was going on with that?
Well, we brought Pac out, and his role on the tour was just to do what was necessary. So he did, he did do some dancing, but when he danced, I danced. He never danced without me, so we did the same amount of dancing. But he also would get the mic and be able to bust and get off, and he would do some backup parts, and he would have some solo parts where he could, where he was front and center on stage. And when the show was over, he was part of the crew that would break equipment down, but we all did at some point. So, as the newest member, that was the way things worked, But we didn't call him, he wasn't our roadie per se. He just had responsibilities. We all had responsibilities.
What do you think was like the wildest time you had?
The wildest time? Probably one time in Minnesota. The people were really excited to see us, and we just hung out in this hotel, and it was just crazy how excited they were to see us. And then I think later that night, we got to go to like this after party, which was supposedly Prince's after party. We never saw Prince, but it was supposedly his party. So, you know, we got that Minneapolis experience one time.
Was Tupac rapping at all during those times?
You know, after shows, Tupac would be freestyling in the lobby and battling all the local rappers, him and MC Search.
Oh, okay. What was that like for him? Was that just
Well, he just had he had a talent to freestyle. So, and he loved to rap. So, you know, Shock would get on the piano and Pac and Search would just start rocking, and whoever pulled up, they was gonna get the business.
There's no videos of none of this?
Maybe if somebody had a VHS camera.
Damn. That'd be classic. That would be dope. You don't remember if anybody did? Just seeing some random.
We didn't carry a VHS camera.
Man, that would be dope. Mm-hmm. So now you guys come back from tour, you record the video, and the video does good. At what point does he get his first solo deal?
I think Tupac and Raw Fusion, which was me and Fuse, I think we got our deals in 91.
Okay, you got a deal too at the same time.
Raw Fusion. So we were recording our album at the same time. So at one point we had a 24-hour block at Starlight Studio, the studio we were recording, and it was us, Raw Fusion, Tupac, Digital Underground, and Gold Money were recording all at the same time. So just 8-hour increments, we would all just kind of rotate and use the studio.
Okay. Did you help? Were you there? I don't want to say help, but were you there when Tupac was recording his first album?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
For me, it was a party, you know, because like I said, so say if it was the end of my session and Tupac's was starting, I would just stay over and kind of hang out and kick it and check out what he was doing. And if he asked me to jump on something or help with anything, then I would do it. But I was there for the majority of the recording of that album.
Because you have a line in Brenda's Got a Baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were there when that was recorded, I take it, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There was no internet back then, so you had to be there. You know, we were always just hanging out in each other's sessions. So, you know, you have to remember and realize, like, for you, you're thinking, what was it like to record with Tupac? It wasn't like that. It was just he was just a...
At that point, he wasn't even really Tupac yet, you know?
Yeah, so we were just in there. We were just all the homies, just, you're recording? We're drinking 40s and passing them to each other and kicking it. And the same thing in my sessions. He's hanging out as well. So they were all the same. So it wasn't like his session was more important or different than any of ours. We were just all recording. Like I said, we had a 24-hour block. Anytime we wanted, we knew somebody was going to be at the studio, so you could just go up there and see what was happening.
I didn't really learn about Tupac till Juice. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was watching Juice with a friend, he was like, yo, that dude's a rapper. I was like, he is? Oh, okay. You know, but I didn't, I didn't learn about Pac till a little bit later. But what was it like when the Humpty Dance came out?
It's crazy. I mean, shit blew up immediately. You know, it was almost like an instant hit, right? So, like I said, we had toured Europe off of Do What You Like, which was a hit in Europe. We came home, we released Sex Packets, the album. Humpty Dance comes out. Next thing you know, we're traveling the United States off this hit record that just blew up, like I said, almost immediately. And from that song, we stayed working heavily and consistently for like the next 3 years. And that was like the meat of, or the height of our popularity from like 1990 to like 1994. But Humpty Dance is a song that catapulted us. So, you know, after Humpty Dance, it was just like a string of things that we did. We did Same Song, which introduced Tupac. Then we did Kiss You Back on the very next album, which was a huge hit. So it was just we had like a 3 or 4 year run just consistently putting out great music that people received and were receptive to, which had us, we stayed out on the road and we stayed just busy. And that's
Yeah, Humpty Dance, when that was the biggest song at the time. When it came out, it was at least as far as I remember.
It was big.
Like, it was one of those songs, where it's just everywhere. On the radio all the time. Everybody at school loved it. It was just like, once a year, twice, two times, maybe twice a year or something. There's just those songs where just, it's just crazy. It was one of those songs. Definitely, man. At least that's how I remember it anyway.
Nah, it was.
Yeah. And so now you guys get these, big hits. You guys are touring. What are the tours like at this point?
It's fun, It was just real fun.
Is there any stories with Shock G from those times that you could share?
Yeah, well, let me just say, our first tour was with Big Daddy Kane. We were out with MC Lyte, Queen Latifah, Third Bass, Chill Rob G, Public Enemy, Kid and Play, Kwame, Heavy D, Two Live Crew. Within those tours, we probably, anybody that was hot, we performed with them. So, the best story that I could tell is just the camaraderie of all the groups. So just imagine, now everything is so separated. I only listen to trap. I only listen to West Coast. I only listen to it wasn't none of that. It's it didn't matter if you were Big Daddy Kane from New York or Two Live Crew from Miami. We were all together, and it didn't matter. We didn't care what type of hip hop. It was hip hop. And when we went out and we were out on the road, we moved like a family. We protected each other. So, and saying that to say a lot of this separatism shit is just bullshit, and it's unfortunate for the younger generation that they do that because they kind of block themselves from experiencing different genres and different styles and different type of music just because they make up their mind that they're only gonna be this person. I'm gonna dress like this and I'm only gonna listen to this. So now I'm this guy, not knowing that something that you say you're not listening to may be something that you really like if you listen to it. So back then we didn't have that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can see that totally. Hip hop is much more regional, because Chicago has a sound, New York has a sound.
Well, it was always, everybody had their sound, but we didn't discriminate against it or say just because it's there and it has a sound that we're not going to listen to it or not even give it a shot. We didn't put our flag in the dirt and say we only going to be this because we're that. Shit is stupid.
I hear you, man. Now you guys are on tour, but Tupac's not with you no more. He's solo at this time.
Tupac toured with us up until I think probably a little bit even after Juice, he come out and do dates with us. I think, you can look it up. Whatever year Poetic Justice came out, that's probably the last time he really toured with us. And then it was just really about his solo and movie career. And he moved to LA, and once he moved to LA, then that's when I don't have much to say about it because I wasn't in LA, and I was never around Death Row, so I don't know anything about Death Row. And he was only with Death Row for 9 months, which was not a very long time. So, up until about 92-ish, 93, then he moved on and he started doing his own thing. So the communication with him, with me, was more through telephone, phone calls, and when we would meet up to make appearances and perform, I Get Around or record or whatever. But as far as just day to day and knowing what he was doing and what was happening, once he left the Bay Area, I can't tell you stories about that.
Were you there when he auditioned for Juice?
Yep.
What was that like?
Shit. I mean, I auditioned as well. We went together, but I knew that he was... Were
you initially the one that introduced him to the roles?
Well, I was the one that got called to go audition for the movie. But I knew that he had went to school for acting, so I asked him to help me out. And then we all was like, bro, you should come read, because this character kind of reminds us of you. And we knew that he could act. So, calls were made, and able to get him to come to the audition along with me. But we were auditioning for different roles, me, him, and Tretch. But he was the one that actually got the role because he's the one that actually had acting skills.
A lot of people say that he changed after Juice.
You know, I would say this about that. You know, depending on how they say he changed, because to say he changed meaning that they knew him before. So a lot of people were introduced to Pac through Juice, and some of those same people are saying that he changed, but changed from what? Like, if you tell me how he changed, then I'll tell you if that's true or not.
Well, I would think that what they mainly say is that he became more like Bishop.
Nah,
more of a
true.
gangster.
He actually was wilder before that. When I first met him and he was young, he was more Bishop than Bishop, and he actually got a little more mature and calmed down. So by the time he did Bishop, he was just recreating some shit that he already had been. You know what I mean? So that's false in my eyes.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about stories from interviewing different people from when they knew him in high school. Like, he was always a wild dude. So, when people, it was like a common thing though I would hear, and it was like this narrative about Tupac that he became Bishop.
Yeah, nah.
What did you think when he actually got the role, and now he's like a movie star? It seemed like that kind of took off before the music actually did.
It did actually, and we were all happy for him because we knew that was one of his goals, was to be in a movie. So at that point he had accomplished two of his main goals that he expressed to us when he got with us, was that I want to put a record out and I want to do a movie. And he had accomplished both of those by the time he was like 21, 22 years old.
Were you ever around Tupac and Eazy?
Yeah.
Do you know how they met or anything like that?
They met, through Digital Underground. Our manager was also the road manager for NWA and Ruthless Records. So we kind of, even when we were coming up, we would be around NWA. They actually came to our album release party when we first put our record out. So we knew NWA. Dre, Eazy, Cube, all of them were in.
Oh, okay. So you guys knew each other, and then Tupac becoming part of the group, it was just kind of like a natural thing.
Yeah.
They came in.
Kind of part of the family, per se.
I seen somewhere that you guys were on an elevator, and this was, because at one point, NWA and Death Row kind of started going at it or something, and then, there was a point where Tupac and Eazy were in an elevator and ran into some dudes from Death Row.
Yeah, it was some shit. We was in the elevator, and then I think it was Warren G or somebody, but him and Eazy had some words, but we were with Above the Law, getting ready to go perform the song we did with him, and then it was like some words back and forth, and cats was about to pull out guns and shit, but
everything was cool, or I mean,
it worked out. I'm still here.
Okay.
I didn't get shot.
Oh, there was. Okay.
Nobody got shot.
So there was guns pulled out though? And
yeah, but none's fired. No.
None were fired. And then this was at a concert, right?
This was at a show.
At a show.
LA that we were about to go do.
And were you shocked to see all this, or?
Not really. I kind of grew up around those type of situations, so it was more or less. From my perspective, it was Eazy-E, Death Row beef, and Pac was acting as if he wanted to interject himself into that situation. And I'm like, we need to stay out of that because we don't know nothing about what's going on.
You're saying that Tupac was kind of getting a little too involved or close to it?
Yeah, in my opinion, he was acting a little bit too close to, just because two cats are fighting, if you don't know what's happening and you know all of the people, I didn't think we had any business trying to get involved,
I don't think people really knew too much about Tupac and Eazy-E's relationship, or, that they were really like that close, or that they knew each other like that.
Like I said, we all knew NWA. Like Digital Underground kind of came up under NWA in a sense, meaning that their road manager was our manager. So we almost come from the NWA family tree per se.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, that was cool, you know. So everybody just eventually just broke up, and everybody went about their way and everything.
You mean at that particular situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we ended up doing the show. So, like I said, I don't know.
Was that the only time you guys ran into Death Row, or I don't want to say ran into Death Row because I know you guys said that. Was that the only time that something like that happened?
With me, yeah.
With you. What was it like recording I Get Around?
I mean, it was dope. For me, recording it, like from the time I heard the beat, from the time we did the song, even before we did the video, I knew it was a hit record. Right? We all did, meaning all of us in our camp. You know, I even asked or told Tupac that should have been the first single off that album. But when we did the video, you know, that was like, up to that day, that was like the funnest day of my life. Just of hanging and partying or whatever, because it was just like a big party. So I knew that if the video showed half the fun we had that day, and as great as that song was, I knew it was gonna be a hit, like no doubt. So I was very confident in that song. And you can see it's still relevant today. So, and it's still one of my favorite songs that we did.
Did Tupac think it was a hit from the beginning?
You know, I don't know. He may or may not have. I think at that time, or at least I know when we did the video, Pac was unhappy with his record sales because that, you know, the first single, I think it was "Holla If You Hear Me." Yeah, that was the first single, and it didn't do too well, so he was upset with the record label. So I don't know if he paid much attention to it, or if he, you know, he was maybe starting to sour on Interscope, and that when that single dropped, it just brought it all back to life. So I never had a conversation with him about what he actually thought about the record, and it really didn't matter because I knew it was a hit, so I didn't even give a fuck about what he thought. I was like, dude, this is your hit. Deal with it, and that's that.
So he puts this song out, and you know, this is his first big song. No. I would say no.
Mama, remember Dear Mama came out before that. Wait, no, Dear Mama came out after that. His first big song was probably Brenda's Got a Baby, which was all right. Damn, you're making me think. I think that was one of his first big songs, I believe. You know, you'd have to go back and look at Wikipedia and see if he had a hit that charted before that, or how high. But yeah, because that was Strictly. That was the second album, and that kind of took it to the next level.
Yeah, it did. I remember, you know, when that record came out, it was like Tupac was much more well known. You know, it was like, oh, that's the guy from Juice. Right. You know, it was like, you know.
But that's why it's hard to say, because he was really popular from Juice. So maybe that was the record that made it more popular. But, you know, he'd already been doing movies and stuff.
You know, you mentioned, you know, having a good time in music videos and everything. A while back, there were some pictures that came out that were from a sex tape. Can you speak about that at all, or?
Yeah, we were at Tupac's apartment. It was my cousin's birthday, and you know, we had saw Tupac at like Walgreens or some shit, and then we, you know, me and my cousin Cleve, my cousin Greg, and we're like, it's Greg's birthday. He's like, you know, we buying some drink. He bought some drinks. He's like, come over to the crib. I got something for him. And he called up these girls that he knew. They came over and they got live with everybody. But Tupac was the one that was filming it with his own video camera. And, you know, and he used to show people the tape. He used to have parties where it was like showing people the tape. And I was like, man, stop showing that tape. He was proud of it. But so wherever that tape is, it was actually, Tupac is the one that filmed it. So it must have got lost, or some girl or somebody got the tape, because I always knew that always knew that it existed, and I knew that Tupac didn't destroy it, so I knew somebody had it. Like, I don't know who has it, but I knew that, I always knew that tape existed and that it would surface one day.
Was that the only time something like that happened? With a videotape?
With a videotape? Oh, I don't know. With me, yeah. But, it used to go down. We were, we was popping.
Sounds like you guys had a wild time. I've heard different stories, and, the I Get Around video, I guess there was a lot of chicks there, and,
Yeah.
One, like you said, one big party. So that's fun, man. Tours. Sounds like you guys had a really good time versus, now it's like hip hop's got a lot of fighting and shooting going on. It seems like,
Yeah, our experience was that, right? So it was still fighting and some shooting back then, but we controlled our own environment, and it really didn't happen like that around us a lot. There were some instances, but for the most part, man, we had that energy and that vibe that we liked, and so we probably attracted that same energy and that vibe for the most part. And I'm speaking about Digital Underground.
You guys had a fun vibe.
Word.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, that's how I remember Digital Underground.
Yep.
Just a fun, just party, get drunk, have a good time.
Kick it.
Yep. Shock G, recently passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And were you guys been a group this whole time? Touring and everything?
You mean up until like 2 months ago?
Yeah.
We remained a group, but I think right around 2014, Shock took like a real serious hiatus because he just wanted to step away from music and kind of find himself or do whatever. And in 2015, he kind of introduced me to a cat that he says, like, look, this is my protege. You guys go out and do the show the way you want to do it. Whenever I decide to come back, and it was Young Hump who he introduced me to. And, when I'm ready, we'll go back out, because he always wanted to be able to just be Shock G without having to change and put the nose on. So, and he finally found a guy who could actually rhyme and that could play that role, right? So he sent them to me to go out and for us to do it. So me and Young Hump continued kind of like the Digital Underground performance energy. We were the representation on the road. Shock would come out occasionally and do like solo jazz type kind of appearances or whatever. But, so we weren't performing together, but as really, even if you don't want to call it cohesive, we were still a unit, where we would communicate with each other if we needed something from one another and like that.
How did you guys stay together, though, for so long? A lot of groups, you hear drama happening and this and that. I never heard anything about that from you guys. Now, I don't know something happened behind the scenes, but...
Well, all families have their times, right? But never enough to where we would ever go out and publicly try to humiliate each other, or, we never fell out to a degree where we weren't gonna represent each other and represent the brand. So, like if you are on social media, you see me, it's like, and all my hashtag is, Shock G forever, DU for life. So you would hear people talk about, Tupac used to be in, or when you and Fuse used to be, or Mystic or Saphir. Nobody ever quit the group. We all went on to have our individual successes, but we all remain members of Digital Underground. So I don't think anybody ever got kicked out and nobody quit. So, even though Tupac enjoyed solo success, he was still a member of Digital Underground. Same with myself and Fuse as Raw Fusion. We remained in Digital Underground. Saphir was always a member of Digital Underground, even though he went out and recorded with Exhibit and Razzcazz and all of those guys, and had his own individual success. Same with Mystic. Same with Pee Wee, who went on to rock with Too Short and the Dangerous Crew. Same with Dave Hollister, who kind of came through us. He sang on Brenda's Got a Baby, but he had his own individual success. But we considered him a extended member of Digital Underground. So nobody quit and nobody used to be in Digital Underground. We are all members and part of the Digital Underground family.
Well, that's what's up, man.
And that's what's happening. So,
you know, rest in peace, Shock G.
Absolutely.
You know, man, it was sad, a sad day for hip hop, especially for dudes from the old school, you know, that actually was there, you know, and, you know, partied and listened to him, you know, so, you know, it was great having you, man.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. But, you know, once again, just, if you're in the Bay, August 21st, Digital Underground Day, celebrate Shock G. But other than that, anything, if you want to know what's going on with anybody in our crew or just what's happening with the Digital Underground family, you can follow me on social media, Instagram or Twitter @MoneyB69, or you can like the Digital Underground Facebook fan page, or you can just check out digitalundergroundday.com. And, you know, we always moving and shaking, so keep up.
That's what it is, man.
Word.
I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you.
Yes,
appreciate
for sure.
Word up. Peace.